This is an urgent appeal from the Disasters Emergency Committee. Hundreds of thousands of people have fled their homes to escape conflict in Ukraine, leaving jobs, belongings and loved ones behind. They need shelter, food and water. You can help. To donate online, search DEC or text radio to 70150 to give £10. Thank you.
Streaming 24/7, this is Brum Radio.
Thank you for downloading this Brum Radio podcast. For more podcasts, visit brumradio.com.
I'm Dave Massey. I'm joined on the telephone by Malcolm James. Good afternoon, Malcolm. How are you today?
I'm very well indeed. How are you, Dave?
I'm really good.
Good.
I'm really pleased to be talking to you about the production of The Woman in Black, which is coming to the Alexandra from the 6th until the 10th of February, and then it continues its tour until the summer, until the 1st of June, as far as I can see. You're playing Arthur in this production. When did you first get involved in this as a production? Because I've seen that you returned to this production for this tour.
Yes, I did tour it 2014-15, although we never played Birmingham or Wolverhampton on that tour, so I never came to the Midlands with it. But I then did do a 9-month run in the West End in 2016, and a very brief stint in Dubai in 2017, just for 1 week only, in 40-degree heat. But so this is my first time coming back to it, yes.
And it's quite funny, because when I saw you in Wolverhampton, we were in like a little mini British heat wave during that week.
It's hard to remember that now, isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
Funny enough, because that's where we started the tour, and I think the curse of The Woman in Black followed us immediately, because we had that mini heat wave, as you said, and the air conditioning broke down in the theatre, so
yes.
We were really hot on stage that week.
Wow. Do you have a theatre that you consider to be your own theatre, your home theatre, or is there one that you just sort of go to and you think, this is where I am?
Well, I grew up in Walsall, and to be honest, Birmingham was the place I came to for theatre. Sometimes the Alexandra, but to be honest, it was mostly the old rep as it was then, and then the new rep when that got built. So I saw loads there when I was a kid, and occasionally to the Grand in Wolverhampton. I remember going there to see the wonderful actor Timothy West playing King Lear, because I was studying that for school. So there were always theatre trips out to those theatres. But what's fantastic about this tour is I'd never played the Grand in Wolverhampton before, so that was really lovely, and it's a beautiful old theatre, and the staff there look after it so well, and they looked after us so well. The Woman did, I think, make a few appearances, because I remember the front of house manager saying that there were doors opening and closing for no reason. There were conversations being heard in a corridor, and they would look out the door and there'd be nobody in the corridor. So I think some strange things are going on at the very beginning of the tour. But coming to the Alex will be nice. I haven't played there for many a year, since I think a production of Agatha Christie's Spider's Web many years ago when I was first starting out. So it'd be nice to be in that theatre again.
I was lucky enough to go on a spooky ghost tour in October or November of last year to the Alexandra. And although some people don't believe they can see anything at all, other people feel like they can. Are you somebody that has that happened to you? Is that something that happened?
Not to me personally, sad to say. I'd love to have that experience. I'm not sceptical, really, because I know so many people who really believe in it and swear they've seen ghosts. I know a lot of people walk into rooms, and even if they don't see a ghost, they will say, oh, there's something odd happened in this room, or they feel cold, or they feel awkward or in the room, and they say something terrible happened. I can believe in that. If you're very sensitive psychically, you can pick up on atmospheres, and maybe if something terrible and tragic, like a murder, happened in a room, you can pick up on that energy. But whether actual ghosts exist, I don't know. But so many theatres have them. I'll be interested to see if there's a theatre ghost at the Alexandra that wants to come out and say hello to our ghost. It's usually a woman in grey, isn't it, for some reason? When you go around to theatres around the country, they always say, oh, we've got a woman in grey. So hopefully the woman in grey will come out and meet the woman in black, and they can have some kind of ghostly confab.
See, I find that really interesting that certain people do do see these things as well. I know there's a spooky chair in the theatre when I've done interviews actually physically in the theatre, they've put me in that chair to do the interview in the on the balcony. And I felt really strange sat in there. So I do wonder whether there's those sorts of things going on in the theatre as well. When you're on the stage, it's yourself and the actor that I saw was with you was Mark Hawkins. Is he with you for when it comes to the Alexandra?
Yeah, Alexandra, he is indeed. We're doing the whole tour together. Yes, he's a wonderful young actor, very energetic and committed and intense in the part. He's wonderful to work with.
When I watched the performance in Wolverhampton, I felt like because you guys get to not only and I'm trying to be cautious how I describe this. You get to play other characters, or at least embody other characters during the performance. Is it weird to be on the stage where it's just the two of you as actors physically there?
Well, it is. I mean, it's very demanding and challenging, but that's the fun of it. I mean, as an actor, I enjoy a challenge. And you're right, it's only the two of us. Some people say there's a third person sometimes appears on the stage. I'm not sure about that. But anyway, basically, it's the two of us. And I can outline the basic setup for anybody who hasn't seen this,
please.
who's interested in coming, because basically, Arthur Kipps was a young solicitor who was sent from London up to the northeast coast, a very isolated old dark house on a foggy, eerie moor. And he's trying to sort out the estate of this deceased client, and things start happening. Eerie sounds, spectral sightings, and the story goes on from there. But it's a big mystery at the heart of it. Who is this woman? What does she want and why? And that's kind of revealed during the story, so I won't give anything away about that. But because he's still traumatized by what happened to him and suffering nightmares, I play the older Arthur Kipps. This is 30 years after those events. So this is how the play starts, this kind of framework that I'm hiring a young actor to try and help me tell my story to my family so they can finally understand what I went through and help me purge my demons, basically finally exorcise the curse that I feel was placed upon me. But this young actor says, what we better do is act it out.
Yes.
I will play you as a young man and you can play all the other characters that you met along the way. And he takes some persuading, but eventually he goes along with it. And that's basically how we start. So it is a two-hander. This young actor playing the young Mr. Kipps and the older Mr. Kipps, me taking on all the other characters. It sounds more confusing than it is, I promise, but that's how the story unfolds. And then by using lighting and sound effects, you get drawn into the story and you fully believe that whatever we say is really happening, because the audience's imagination is the most powerful weapon in the room.
I think it's really exciting, and the reaction during the interval to seeing it is just amazing, because you get an audience that's so sort of surprised and startled, but they love it as well. They really love the exhilaration and that feeling of exhilaration through this production. Do audiences behave themselves during this show?
Well, they do generally. I mean, we like it when they're very vocal. If they scream, and inevitably, as you'll know from having seen it, that audiences generally, if something takes them by surprise, like they jump or they scream or make involuntary sounds, the kind of things I can't repeat on the radio.
That's okay.
They tend to get very amused themselves by that, so they will giggle and they'll have a bit of a chat. I don't regard that as not behaving, not behaving well. They're just getting caught up in the drama. It just means that sometimes you have to let the audience settle a bit before you go on with the story, otherwise they don't hear what you're talking about. But no, I love it when they scream, and it's a communal experience, isn't it? Everybody loves it, being scared, and if you're doing it alongside other people, and ultimately you're safe, she's not going to follow you home, I don't think, then you can all enjoy having a good scare and laugh about it afterwards.
When it was September and it was a heat wave, I didn't feel that. But when it's the winter and it's dark nights and you're walking down the street from the theatre home, I do feel a little bit more during those months.
It's the perfect time of year for us. It's basically a Christmas ghost story. That's how it starts. He's telling how it all started on Christmas Eve with a bunch of people around the fireside telling ghost stories. So, and it's all set in winter months. It's cold, foggy, eerie moorland. It's perfect at this time of year. But yes, it was a little different in Wolverhampton in the heat wave.
It looks like there's actually an extra matinee when you're in Birmingham. Does that help? Does that give you the confidence to know it's sold so well that there's even an extra matinee to be put on?
Yes, that's really exciting when the theatre comes. I mean, this was a while ago that the Birmingham Alexandra came to the producers and said, we'd really like to put another matinee in because it's selling so well. So that's fantastic. And I know we get lots of school groups coming in because I know they're studying either the novel for English GCSE or sometimes if in the drama groups they're studying the play itself for their drama GCSE. So it's always rewarding. And the kids tend to be a bit more willingly vocal. You know, they're the ones who will scream if they feel like screaming. Sometimes if it's an entirely adult audience, they tend to be a bit more repressed and they're embarrassed if they vocalize what they're feeling. So it's nice if it's a mixture, to be honest, because then the kids encourage the adults to let rip a bit.
I highly recommend this production to anyone that wants to go and see it. I thought it was really fantastic to see, and it always makes me think, how do they do certain moments when they happen as well? How many people are there back behind the stage, would you say?
Well, there's a very hard-working team because it's certainly not just the two of us on the stage. We have a brilliant stage management team. There's about, 10 of us on the road altogether because we have a stage management team working very hard throughout the show. They're making sure all the sound and lighting cues happen when they should, and certain things that happen behind the stage have to be sorted at certain moments to happen at the right place at the right time. So our what we call the DSM and the ASM, that's the deputy stage manager and the assistant stage manager, they're working very hard to make sure that that's all going very well during the show. And our company stage manager as well is usually backstage during it to make sure it's all running smoothly. So it's a good, strong team. We have a sound technician as well organising to make sure the sound is going around the theatre. Because as you know, it's a little bit of an immersive experience in a way, because sound happens behind you as well as in front of you. So all that has to technically be sorted out before we arrive in each theatre, in each venue, and then throughout the week to make sure it's all running smoothly. So a very hard-working team. It's way more than just the two of us on stage.
That's fantastic. As I say, I fully recommend this to anybody that wants to come to see this while it's in Birmingham, and indeed while it goes on the rest of the tour, because then it comes back to you coming back to the Midlands to go to Coventry from the 30th of April until the 4th of May at Belgrade Theatre over there as well. Are you staying with the production until the end of this tour in June?
I am, yes, right through to the end. So I think Coventry will be the last date that we play in this country. And then we go over to Ireland for the last 3 weeks. We do Northern Ireland first, we do Belfast and Derry, and then our very last week is down in Dublin, and we finish on the 1st of June.
That's brilliant. I'm somebody that's lucky enough to have plenty of Irish ancestry, so I can only imagine the kind of reception that you get when you're over in Northern Ireland and indeed in Ireland as well. Have you been there with this tour, this production before?
I've played it. Well, I haven't played Derry. I've played the theatres in Belfast and Dublin before, but not with The Woman in Black, although it has been there before as a show, and I'm told it goes down really, really well over there. So I'm looking forward to hearing that for myself.
Brilliant. Malcolm, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to me about this production today. As you can find out the details at thewomaninblack.com, or you can go to atgtickets.com and click on the Alexandra, look for The Woman in Black, which is here from the 6th to the 10th of February.
Thank you for listening to this Brum Radio podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on your podcast app.